Hey there, thanks for watching. I hope you're having a blessed day in your life and realize that no matter what you're going through, that God is with you and He loves you and He is peace at what's going on in your life, no matter what's happening. So today I just wanted to touch on um, the familiarity I've had with Bucks County. I wanted to kind of set um, the idea that if I may sound as an American disrespectful towards my government, that's not the tone that I'm trying to portray. Um, if it sounds like I've been familiar, if it sounds like I've been kind of rude, but on the same time, I'm very familiar with Bucks County because of the many, many years being involved with them. Unfortunately, before my first custody agreement in 2003, that was a joint physical and legal uh, venture that we decided to not, we went the split 50-50 custody. And that paperwork that was filed, my relationship with Bucks County before that was in '99. I had applied for um, uh, a permit to carry before Y2K um, that I was granted, and I think I posted it online. Then before that was working with Thomas Nolan with the Bucks County Intermediate Unit number 22 in Doylestown for homeless outreach. So that was my only interaction, and then with the state of Pennsylvania was just my driver's license, and when I moved in the post office. But that was really all of my. I had no legal background. I didn't know how legal things were. I was very naive. I had no idea about the law other than what was neglected to be taught in school. But Bucks County and I had a relationship that shouldn't have happened because the paperwork that was filed with Bucks was a custody agreement, which I believe uh, the Bucks County court reporter uh, that I had a child with. Well, she wasn't a Bucks County uh, court reporter when I first met her. She was a freelance court reporter. But anyways, she got the job the same time, around the same time that the paperwork for our custody was signed by a judge. Um, so Bucks County and I have kind of began this relationship in a sense, if you will, because I had to deal with her, but then I had to deal with Bucks County too. So I come to realize you grow up thinking that justice is for all, and you take classes on what the systems of government is for and whatnot, and they brainwash you into thinking this is the way it goes. But the public school system doesn't go over uh, the criminal system, how it works, who's in charge, how it's supposed to be deliberated. They never went through step by step with me. I think we need to visit that. I'm an advocate for that. They really should go through, um, pretty much if they're going to give you the nutshell of our government and how it works growing up that we have to take tests for to learn. I really think they should do learn what I learned, what I should have known before I got into all this stuff. But my point is that I was a very naive guy at 30 um, when Josh was conceived and after he was born. I had a very little knowledge of the law. I know that I know how usually divorces go, or separations go, or alimony goes, or how to raising kids going forward, how to be adults about doing the right thing for the kids and all those things. I learned all of those smart things beforehand, all the years of babysitting and whatnot. So I brought all that to the table. Um, my knowledge and expertise of kids. I knew kids from the standpoint of babysitting when I was young. When I was younger and working with the kids at school. So I had familiarity with that part. But as far as the legal stuff goes, I never was really informed of it. And I guess there shouldn't be so much of a reliance on lawyers to tell you uh, just a basic criminal law. How it works, what each party does and whatnot, and how it's broken. And I learned this all when I was, incarcerated from Bucks. So they kind of taught me how it's supposed to go too. And what I've learned from school, and in reality going through situations with Bucks, that neither one of them are what I learned then and what I went through. That doesn't match. Um, but that's only because my son's mom is a Bucks County court reporter. So yeah, my situation doesn't match. But my point is that it went from custody, within Bucks County. There was, working for the homeless outreach, and then then having to have them be involved with my custody and making meetings and meetings and meetings. So you get to meet people and people and people. And then when you go for support, you meet these people. So you talk to these people, and you make um, with these officers or these conference people or whatnot through the system. Then there's court reporters in your you know in some of your meetings too, and then there's court support hearings, and so then there's custody hearings. So um, let's see, support hearings, contempt support hearings, all these things Bucks had to be involved with because this woman chose not to lie about everything instead of being straightforward and honest. So my then being introduced with let's see, calling Pennsylvania to there was a couple. Uh, there was issues with as soon as she signed joint custody, she stole him from me. She kidnapped him from me at that point, and then being that she was working for them, she was kind of using that intimidation against me to get what she wants. So I was feeling threatened when she took him from me and didn't give him back when she was supposed to. When she kidnapped him, they weren't doing anything about any of that stuff. Um, so I learned early on they were never going to be on, what's right and what's wrong, um, so that's my introduction. And then when the doctor called in 2003 about his head trauma, they ignored that. And then my other call to Bucks County in 2007 about the attempted murder, and that it took me 4 years to find out about. And then all of the other issues with her kidnapping him, and then her neglecting him, and then almost killing him, and all these things that Bucks were warned about. They were told that these things had happened. The only thing is they didn't act upon it. So that's not on me. I'm just a light bearer. I'm just a guy that's saying these are the things that have been done. So, and then throughout the years, I called or emailed people throughout Bucks County, through administrators, detectives, judges. The commissioner of Bucks County came into my work and gave me her business card and says, "Please let me be of help to you." And I emailed her like she said, not thinking that the phone call for child abuse hotline was covered up by her, not knowing that, not putting two and two together. I thought they were totally separate, but come to find out that you know, So I've had lots of interactions within Bucks County, with the DA, with people within the DA, and their those people. So when I've been speaking about Bucks County, I've got to say that my familiarity, I can't even say the word, I'm very familiar with a lot of people through a lot of the agencies within Bucks County. So a lot of people don't have that much interaction with people within the county government, the normal people. That's where I want to be. That's a guy that I always intended to be. However, forced into needing their help when. So the reason why when in my videos that it needs clarification that when I speak about them, it's not out of they did disrespectful things to my son. Yes, they did disrespectful things to me. Yes, um, but I can say that my point is that I know a lot about what has happened, and trying to warn them for so long about a woman who is very. I worry about my son's life. I'll be honest with you. I've had FDIA is very serious, and I've tried to warn Bucks, and I've tried to warn doctors, and I've tried to tell people to try to help me to help this disease that she has, her inability to tell the truth, has hurt my son. So I make these videos because I'm trying to get him help, not because uh, well, that's what a parent does. That's been forbidden from me, from the mom, from the courts, from day one. Um, to have a judicial center, let her steal my son from me and then not do anything about it. For me to have the phone call to the child support hotline, not one detective called back, not one policeman, not a social worker, not a CPS worker. So I'm pointing out, the videos have been pointing out the discrepancies and the hypocrisy of Bucks County and their inability to force a law when it comes to this person. But for the rest of the Pennsylvanians, whomever gets, well, I'm not even in Pennsylvania, but for everybody else who has to go through criminal or matters within Pennsylvania, just know that they're not having the same standard as it done to everybody else. So for me to know what they did, and I can definitely 100% guarantee and back up everything I'm saying within writing. Um, but the familiarity there is they're somebody that should not have been in our relationship but had to be called upon, but thinking that because they were the smarter ones or the better ones involved with our custody stuff, I never realized that they would really never help my son. So they say they're out there to help people and to honor the law of the land and to law and order. When a parent calls and when a doctor calls and they say, hey, there's something wrong, this is really, it's insane. And not to get that phone call back is saying that they're supporting her. So where I'm at today is I've been talking at Bucks County to Bucks County, but they haven't been talking back. They have never answered one of my calls. We've never had a discussion when I called CPS. So the issue with the hypocrisy in calling CPS is they want people to call if they suspect child abuse. But who made these people the ability to judge a situation without getting to the phone call or speaking to me and saying this is what is. Calling another county is normal. They would have done that, um, but they didn't. They chose another route, and that's what I was celebrating my week's win with, and the excitement about knowing that it all has come together. So now that I'll be shining the light onto the situation, moving forward, um, knowing all of the answers, it's time to kind of set the stage to really share what has happened. And a Bucks County court reporter tried killing her kid, stole my kid, tried killing him, worked for them, lied to them, well, lied to me and everybody else in her life, then goes and lies to the Bucks County, gets them on her side. By the time they find out that she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, they've already made the choice to have to stick behind her, stuck behind her. Then, as they're helping her, I'm gathering all the information and documenting all of these things and watching them watch her do the same thing she's been doing since day one, not helping my son. That's number one. These conversations shouldn't be happening because if you do the right thing and you almost kill your kid, if you didn't look so guilty, you should have taken a kid and called 911, but you didn't. But he's not okay. That's the issue. See, if Bucks County, at any point would have all the phone calls and telling how much I need help, they're it. They're the last resort. That's what parents depend on. I depend on their honesty and their judgment and to be honest and help me because that's where that goes when you're a county. But they didn't treat her like a county worker. She didn't treat me like a county worker. Like I got special treatment. There's no reason why I should have been in front of them. But they chose to want to operate under law and order, but at the same time be disrespectful and weigh in on cases that they can't weigh in on because they work with this woman. How is that right? This is no difference than a knee on my neck. All for just wanting to help and talk to my kid. That is nuts. Spending 13 months in jail is nuts. Why? Because I was able to keep myself under control and to be able to withstand every kind of beating that Bucks County was putting on me the same way that she was doing before they were involved. She was trying to beat me down from the beginning, stealing my kid, kicking me out, not paying me my 50 grand, and then wondering why I don't have a place to live, and then suing me for child support. She doing all this at the same time. She couldn't keep him straight. What kind of mother tries to blow up a dad who promises and said, I will be there here. Let me show you. I paid for that. I paid for that. That signature here that got him in for the judge that says we have 50-50 joint custody, we don't need to go fighting, worrying about all this stuff. No. It brings me to the other topic. The other topic is that I can say red flags with her. My guard was down with her until she snapped, till the snap. June 26, 2003, till her snap. My guard was down with her. I trusted her. I believed that she was a law and order person. I thought that working within the criminal or the judicial system, she was the kind of, I thought she was the kind of person that honors, because her job is to work on contracts and all these things all day long for her job, and these disputes between this party and that party. And she hears these disputes and she's hearing one side or she's hearing the other side. She's here. So here I thought that she was a reasonable woman. I didn't. I tried calling the police on her. I tried calling CPS. I warned them. I told them. I did my job. They allowed her to continue on, and I caught her. I have her stuff on record, and I have Bucks County's on the record. So my thing is that as much as they tried to beat me down through using her first, and when she couldn't work, she brought in them, and then when they got into it, they couldn't back out, so then they had to keep it going. So I made sure that this thing led to the end. It was documented where I have them on the record. That's all I had to do is get them on the record. So really, I lose but I win because I lost Josh. I can't get a hold of him. I can't tell him the truth. I can't tell him to know his status. I can't love him. Um, if he were to know that I've never stopped loving him, he doesn't even know that. Like he was told. I have this in writing. Uh, he was told by his aunt told me online on my old GoFundMe page that me walking away from Josh was the best thing I ever did. Her own sister says I walked away. I didn't walk away. I got threatened. I got harassed. I was called a child molester. She said it was on that voicemail that I posted about. Um, she threatened me about the judge, how I should never, I'm never going to see him again, which all these things happen. She accused me of not giving his medications, which she sent poison over instead. And I caught it and I didn't give it to him. But I didn't make a big deal. I should have called the police right there and then, but I didn't. Um, hindsight. Um, she, I mean, what kind of parent tries poisoning their kid? And the only reason why I caught it is because I opened up the capsule. If I didn't open up the capsule, you would have swallowed it. I reported her using to tampering with the type 2 controlled substance of my son's that she did. I lost a friend over it too. Uh, Thought it was him, but no, no, that was rough. I was like 5 years not talking to my buddy because of thinking that he came into my house and switched one of my son's medication. I'm like, no, nobody did that. The one who accused me of not giving his medication is the one who sent over something else. And that's the truth. And that's right there. So my point is that this thing going on with Bucks. Uh, I don't want to say I've lost respect for them. I honor all policemen, everybody that wears a badge. Every time I see a policeman or somebody from the service, I always a veteran with a hat on that says, you know, veteran. I always thank everybody for their service. I've had American flag in every single house I've lived in for the longest time. I've made a pallet American flag, sat that in front of my house, put a yellow ribbon around my tree because hoping that my son would someday come home. But then to hear Diane Marseglia send out the sheriffs to stop me from saying stop this nonsense, and she threatens me with it's in that transcript that I posted about how commissioner sent out the sheriffs to my house to shut me up because they kicked me out and I left and I went to Atlanta and I drove around having to live nowhere. My point is that no matter what they did, I won. Because now's my time for the story. Now's the time for the truth, and I'm going to tell my side of the story. They were given their opportunity to rebut everything. I've asked them, do you want all this evidence I have? I asked the DA. They said no. They didn't say no. ignored me. They asked me, I said, all the evidence I have, I said, please let me, I give it to you. I said, please let me turn over the state's evidence. I said, let me give you all this information. And they said, no. How do you, isn't that their job when somebody says, I have evidence of attempted murder about my son? And they said, no, there's no attempted murder there. Did you look at it? No, we don't have to. Because the doctor didn't write child abuse on it. So, police found nothing there. I said, did you reenact it? And they said, no. And I remember, geez, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was talking to my aunt, and I said, man, I would love to be able to start a GoFundMe page just so I can pay people to reenact this scene. And this scene is fell off of one step, hit his head and ear, he passed out, went limp, vomited, eyes rolled back, um, doesn't walk yet, all off of one step. And I said to my aunt, I said, I would love to be able to start a GoFundMe page just to see how big we can reenact that scene with the mother and the baby in the home and where in the home it was and whatnot. So I was like, man, I'm thinking if I could uh, have a contest to see, the pressure of, you know, the mom says it's supposed he fell off a one step, doesn't walk yet, but 1 foot, one step is about 6 inches. And then I was reading about concussions, and they're about 70 um, G's, 70 to 80 G's. So when she says in there, he fell off the one step, but he laid unconscious, it was about 70 G's a hit. And to have 70 G's of pressure, he had to be up a flight of stairs to have a concussion to that level for the G force to be there, so that um, that is the powers. Those are the powers and the forces that causes that. And for me to try to explain that to a Bucks County detective was difficult, because not that I had not the words to say it, but because they didn't care. Um, so when I tried to explain that to them, they didn't want to know about it. They didn't want to hear it. So I'm free to talk about them however I want to, because I'm very familiar with their tactics, their antics, their lies, their cheating, their manipulation. I mean, being being in jail and they accosted, I was accosted 2 times unprovoked. That's really petty. Breaking my cell phone before I left jail, that's petty. Stealing, having my glasses stolen in jail was petty. Having somebody punch me in the face at the mental home for no reason at all was petty. To have a guy throw chili on my head in the kitchen in Bucks County, that's petty. To lock me up, to have me in solitaire for 4 hours when I had to urinate, and they refused to let me to the bathroom after hours of calling and asking to use the bathroom, and being stuck in a hole because they're being petty. Um, I there's a lot of messages that they have been trying to send me for a long time, um, but they're just petty, and so is she. And to have Diane, say that she was on my last transcript and not tell the DA that we have a long time relationship from 2007, and not talk about the emails that was done, and try to make it sound like I'm a new guy and she's never spoken to me before. She doesn't even know who I am when she does. That's kind of hurtful. Um, so Bucks County, they, I know them in a special way. I know them in a way that you don't want to know. Um, but but the funny thing is that these are the people that are supposed to do law and order. They're supposed to be running the agencies that are supposed to help the people of this county, of that county. Which I was, and a citizen. And I said my son needed help, and today he does. And they haven't helped him out whatsoever. The only person they've been helping out for 20 something years is hurt. They're supposed to be protecting my son. They never got involved. They didn't want to know. They didn't care. They didn't want nothing to do with it. They didn't want nothing to do with it, but they also didn't help me too. So they really didn't help anything in this. But I'm okay. I'm okay on the inside. I've had a very happy life despite this. Going down and seeing a country was great. Throwing all my stuff in the car is great. You know why? Because I'm a really tough person. Because my mom made me that way, and God has made me that way. And no matter what they threw at me, all I did was write it down and keep notes and watch them. I'm sitting there like a parent watching two temper tantrums. I got the girl doing the one thing, and I got the county doing the other thing. That's how ridiculous it is. When you're watching one woman who's making all these lies and mistakes, and I can, they're noted or documented, and she's doing all this stuff, and all I'm sitting there doing, like, okay, I'm taking notes, I'm being a stenographer. I'm watching her do this, I'm listening to her do this. Okay, you want to kidnap him, and they don't want to do anything about it? Fine, I'll write about it. You want to almost kill my son on purpose or accident? Because nobody knows. I'm gonna shed a light on it. I have. That's why this book is so difficult. I need help editing these videos and putting the final touches on the diary, and you know, it's a lot, and when they thought they were going to be able to bury me and get rid of me and make me go away, um, they don't know how much I love my son. Because him and I had a beautiful relationship, and I believe it's going to happen again at some point. Um, the the this is me, my version of yelling. I don't yell and I don't curse. I mean, I don't. I rather talk and say, my frustration using my words than to become hysterical. So that's uh, don't misrepresent my tone, but my son is everything, and that's what we learn as parents. That you do anything you have to do for your kids, no matter what. You help them. You don't hurt them. You don't sabotage them. You don't try to kill them. You don't uh, cut out their father. You don't cut out their school. You don't cut out the therapy. You don't cut out the doctors. You don't cut out the truth. I mean, no, you leave the truth in there. But everything from the beginning was all about lies for her. And I'm just a scribe. I've wrote about these things, what they were in real time, because they wouldn't listen, because I love my son. So if they're allowed to keep secrets and not do their job when they do their job for criminals throughout, how's it okay for, you know, people who are victims like my son? In my eyes, he still needs therapy because of what's happened. We need to see a neurologist to check his brain. We need to make sure that he's functioning. He doesn't have any critical issues within his stems and within his nerves and his brain, to make sure that he's not sitting on an aneurysm. He doesn't have a ticking time bomb. That's how much I love him, but I can't get a hold of him to help him. So every route has been cut and denied by her and the county. So I don't have a way in to having that conversation with him. Doesn't text me. I text him, called him. There's no, what do you do? I gotta hope for the best, and I want his. I'm hoping that I'm wrong for statistics and what I've learned about trauma and brain trauma, and I hope that he's okay, but he's not. And I know that because I'm his dad. So I know these things, I feel these things, I've seen these things. So, anyways, my familiarity, they don't know my son like I do. I'm going to testify on my videos about what he went through on a day to day basis until he is seen by a doctor. I'm not going to give up. Don't give up on your kids, uh, no matter what. My mom taught me that. She loves us, and she did everything she could possibly do, and my life has turned out amazing. More I've accomplished, more than I could ever think to accomplish, and I owe that to my mom. Props to her because those pictures I put up there before that I posted about my achievements. Those are her achievements. Um, she got to um, exposed me to so much at such an early age, between all of the plays and shows and all the instruments and activities and things that we have done. There's in the countries we went to Canada, we've been to Niagara Falls, we've been to Arizona together. We've done a lot, and I've had a very great, loving relationship with my mom, and that's all I want for my son. But I can tell you this: the first 10 years of his life, he wasn't on board, and and I know he's hurt, so I need to get him help. So, with that, you have a great weekend. You be blessed, and whatever pops in my head next, we'll see what happens. Be kind to one another. You only have one life.